Charlie boy. So this snowblower is making a really terrible noise whenever I engage the snow throwing mechanism. For the most part, I think it drives fine, like it propels itself, no problem, but when I go to throw the snow chucker in gear, it makes this terrible noise. So it could be a couple different things. I think it could be in those gears. I've been told they fail. It could be up in the shaft. It could have been warped because I think I hit some rocks with it. It suddenly went clunk and it made a really terrible sound, so I quickly shut it down. And it sheared off one of these bolts as well, so I replaced that. I was going to go back to work, but then it made this terrible noise, and so it was getting late, so I just parked it. And now I pulled it in the shop just so the snow would melt off, and it's melted. I'm going to take a look and see what could be troubling it. Well, that was a terrible noise. I'm going to try disconnecting the shaft and the infrastructure here, these yellow coiled scoopers, whatever they are, that draw this, basically carve the snow up before it gets pushed up into those flippers that shoot it out. You can take this whole front thing off. That would be easiest, I think. I'm going to try to do that. So this is a Sears Craftsman, back when Sears was a thing. When I was a kid. Trip to the socket drawer usually involves a trip to the wrench drawer as well for the corresponding wrench. And there's my Craftsman wrench. I noticed right away that one of the impeller blades was bent. So I'm going to take the machine apart and look at that. Craftsman. Oh, Craftsman. And I've had those for a while too, since Sears was a store. So I grabbed the 3/8 for this because I don't want to put that kind of stress on a 1/4 inch ratchet. Although it would take it, I just don't want to do it. I've got a 3/8 for that. Flat-headed bolts, but they've got a square little flank that sticks into a square hole. Yeah, the 3/8 is the one that I bought in the States. When I do traveling in the van, I keep a pretty extensive tool set with me, sockets and whatnot, all metric. Just because there's always little things. Just like owning a boat, there's always some fix to do. So just notice this little box here, and I don't know what that's for, but it's empty, so maybe there's something in it. Maybe that's where you're supposed to keep your snacks. Back in the old days, we used to do that. Nowadays, I would just use one of these Blue Point gear wrenches because there's ratcheting. You can keep it on the bolt. With ratchets, it makes it just a much smoother motion rather than having to lift that wrench every time. Bolt there. Nice. Behind that cover are the bells. I push this lever and engages that tensioner that idler to go over and squash the belt. So I was able to remove this chute cover with the bolts off. This thing slides out. I'm gonna have to straighten this paddle. One of them is pretty mangled. It's not really catch. Oh, it might just be catching on there. So I'm gonna take it out. That'd be great if that's all it is. So it's square there, and it's proud on the back now because of how it's bent. I think if I straighten that, it should be back in action. 5/8, whatever they are. Always amazed me how many different types of bolts there always are on a thing like this, and different heads and threads. Like, I know certain things are called for engineering spec-wise, but it'd just be so much easier and faster for maintaining them and for repairing them if there were just a couple sizes. Something I always thought of. Maybe this will drop it. Staring into the sun here with this light. That was unexpected. Anyways, it's open. So to get it back on, this pulley sits on this belt and pivots up. That's why it comes apart like that. I'm just gonna set this up, otherwise the gas will start coming out again. And it's not that kind of party. Some interesting collars that are just stacked on the pulley. I'll leave them setting aside in the correct orientation for reassembly. Got him. And I think I've solved our mystery of that horrid noise. Right there. And as a blacksmith, I'm on that. On that like some sort of kid on a candy bar. Now, question is, to torch or not to torch? That is the question. The welds aren't cracked. There's a bit of stress there, but I mean, this thing takes a lot of abuse. I'm just gonna try cold bending it. So I'm gonna start, I think, just by clamping this part, straightening it to bring it over, and maybe pulling out on this, and then take a look after that. You can see just by squeezing the vise, it's already starting to move. Not even putting a lot of pressure on there. It's pretty light for what it is, but I'd rather this thing gives than something else. Something more critical. One more. There we go. So I'm going to try to straighten this out a bit. It should be square to this. Bend it along this line, bend it back up. Might be hammer time. Oh, with hammers though, which one do you choose? I mean, I don't think anything in here would be appropriate. A little too light. Any of these blacksmithing hammers would do. Something short and stout. These are the same size, it's just different configurations. This one's kind of skinny and long. It has a sharper peen on it, so I'm going to try the sharper peen because I might need to get in there. It's hammer time. Slowly. Nice. So that shoulder is pretty square. It's got to come out a bit, but I'm going to try to pull this back. Probably just tap it down. That might bring it right back. There, that looks 99% better just by hammering it out like that. Nice. That's as straight as it needs to be. It's flat across the top. That's really straight. I don't think it even cracked the weld. Now that weld is good. It's not cracked at all, so that's going to hold. Put this back in and flip it around a few times, make sure that it's not catching anywhere. But looks good otherwise. I think we're good to go. Yeah, that spins nice. Way easier than before. So I'm very confident that's what it was. This has to hook into here. And also the pulley has to hook into the belt. So I got everything back together. I'm just going to start it up and test it out and see if that noise is gone. So it looks like that's working fine. I'm going to continue on moving snow today.